Hello,
Hello.
Kimmy.
Mm.
Hello, Rachel Flanagan.
Hey,
Hello.
happy Monday.
Hello, Jennifer Dunn.
Face looks thinner, Jen.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kimmy. I love you.
Yeah.
My new favorite. I love you all so much. I love you.
I love you.
Hello and welcome to Table for Five with no reservations. Take a seat at the table for a fresh, sweet, salty, tart, and pleasantly bitter conversation.
Thank you for taking a seat at the table. Tonight, we are featuring our Series 8, Episode 3. We are talking about Hear Me Roar and providing more. Our episode this evening features Lindsay San from the Pampered Parent. But seated with me first is Jen Dunn,
Hello.
Kim McIsaac,
Hello.
Jamie Ramos,
Hi.
Tabitha Carrera,
Hello.
and Lindsay.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Lindsay. We are excited to tell everyone just what brought you to your field as a BCBA and sort of how you decided to serve our community even more. So we want to thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here at the table.
Thank
Yay.
you. Would you like to introduce yourself for everyone listening?
Sure. So as Rachel said, my name is Lindsay San and I am in South Florida and I am a board certified behavior analyst or a BCBA, much easier to say. And I have been a BCBA for several years now. And yeah, that's kind of me. I live here, born, raised here.
I think that's awesome. I dream of the days in Florida. I'm podcasting from icy Minnesota. So I think Florida
Lindsay,
sounds
and
fantastic.
feel free to tell our listeners whose birthday it is today.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say something, and then I was like, I don't want to be that person, but I have a dog, a golden retriever, who I'm slightly obsessed with, and he is 2 today. So
Yay.
He is the
celebrating him.
fluffiest, cutest. Did you bring him home a cupcake?
We did, yeah, of course,
We
did. And we took pictures with it, the whole thing. Yeah.
Perfect. You're just getting prepared. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Practicing.
Then you'll have babies and forget to feed the dog. No, I'm just kidding.
In fact,
Yeah.
No,
Lindsay,
just kidding.
we know that you are capable of so much nurture, not just for your pup, but for your industry. Can you tell us what led you to become a behavioral therapist?
Absolutely. So I wouldn't say that becoming a BCBA was something that I always wanted to do. And there was nothing specific that kind of brought me to where I am today. But,
Yeah.
not everyone has those like aha moments at the beginning of their career. So it took me a little bit of time, but kind of growing up, I used to volunteer at camps that served children with special needs, and my sister did as well. And we kind of just formed a love for serving the community and helping these children, and just kind of something I grew up with. So going into college, I knew that I was interested in psychology and kids, and that's kind of all I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know all of the options that were out there within that special needs community or the psychology field. So I majored in psychology in undergrad, and then I thought I wanted to go into clinical psychology, and that's what I went to graduate school for. And I quickly realized that while it is a wonderful field, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. It wasn't getting me to the treatment and the intervention of children and families with special needs. It wasn't getting me exactly where I wanted to be. So during grad school, I explored other options and came across applied behavior analysis, or ABA. And the more I learned about it, the more I talked to people who were already in the field, the more I was like, okay, now this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. So after I got my master's in clinical psych, I kind of switched paths and did the ABA route. But it wasn't like a specific person or event or thing that brought me into this field. It was kind of just a combination of interests and experiences that led me here.
Which is
I just love
amazing.
that. I
Yeah.
feel like, we've probably said it on the podcast before, but we found ourselves in this world. We didn't necessarily choose this. Like, my daughter was diagnosed autistic. We found out she has fetal alcohol syndrome. We have discovered her to be bipolar. We're like in this journey with her. it's a whole other thing from my standpoint to want to serve, because you find that you have the heart and the nurture and the ability to follow through when feelings are like, I'm the mom. I'm like, I will follow through, but if something lets us go easier, that is where we're headed, because we've got all these other hurdles. And
Right.
you've got this like power to muscle through, girl. I just love it. I love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was, and it's not an easy choice for sure. I get that question all the time. Like, why? Like, why'd you do it? And I feel like my answer isn't great because I don't have like a specific reason. It's just that I love it. And I always say, like, it is challenging, but it is so rewarding. And like you said, you guys didn't necessarily choose it, but you're in it. I chose it and I'm in it in a different way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be clear. We absolutely did not choose this, period. Any way you want to draw that line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
And here we are.
And you've talked, I mean, we know, but for our listeners, you talked a little bit about your sensory processing stuff that you have. Can you explain that a little bit? Because I think that's like important for understanding a little bit about our kiddos. You know, when you have a perspective of where you come from, you can understand our children. Like we all understand our children in different ways because of, you know, our own anxieties or our own, you know, sleep problems or whatever the case may be for us. Not that we can understand being autistic, because we can't, none of us here are, but
Right.
little pieces of that. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's never been diagnosed or anything like that, but I definitely have sensory difficulties on a day-to-day basis. So I'm very sensitive to different like fabrics and textures, foods. I'm a very picky eater, and it's typically because of like the texture of the food or the way it looks, or, you know, something that just throws me off that I can't necessarily get over. I'm very aware of my body. Like if there's something that feels off, I can't really get over it. Very similar to a lot of our children. It's like, you know, things that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think about or even notice. It's, you know, taking up every spot in my brain. And I can't really stop. So yeah, it definitely helps me relate to the individuals with whom I work and the families, because I think it helps me explain things to parents who maybe don't have a full understanding of sensory sensitivities or behaviors, or the way that sensory sensitivities can impact behavior. So
Yeah, like one of those challenges of like, if you have like a tag that's bothering you, it's hard to like focus on something else, you know, it's hard to,
yes.
yeah.
Or if something's too tight, like I rarely wear tight clothing because I just feel every little bit of it and it's all I can think about. And I've gotten to the point too where, you know, my mom she loves to shop. And I hate to shop. So thankfully she loves to shop. And sometimes she'll buy me shirts because she's like, you know, you'll never have anything new unless I buy it for you. But she knows now like the fabrics that I can and cannot wear. And like, it took some time, but now she knows, like, she'll feel it and she'll be like, Lindsay will not wear this. And so now it's gotten to the point where she just doesn't buy it anymore. She tried for a while, but yeah, the tags, the feeling, the tightness, whatever it might be.
I feel like two of my kids rolled into one.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful thing?
Yeah. Celie just recently had like a really, really difficult day. And from my view, she had the right shirt on. She had the right everything. She had her pearls on. She had all of it just dialed in. She kept saying it's too long. And she kept fidgeting with her necklace. And I'm like, girl, that is the same necklace. Well, lo and behold, like the next day, we realized that she has several of these because they came in like a pearls party pack. This particular necklace that she had thrown off, like she'd like ripped it off and thrown it against the wall. So I knew particularly where this one was that was too long. I measured it against the rest. It was one bead more. It meant that it hit her in a different place. It meant that the knot was different on the string. Like she knew. like we
Yeah.
threw the goddamn thing away. I never wanted it.
Yeah, into the trash you go.
I'm like, well, if it's too long, it's too long. Let's get rid of it.
Right. It's not, pick your battles, right?
But I
It is
didn't even
not-
know it was the necklace. And she was so, I mean, it took us all day.
Mhm.
Has that been a lifelong thing?
Not the food thing, yes. The fabric thing, I think it's been a newer thing, or at least I didn't notice it as much. Maybe now that I'm working in the field that I do, I notice it more because I'm like, hey, me too. Like every
Yes.
day, I'm like, what?
Mhm.
I can relate. So maybe it just brings it to the forefront more. I'm sure it's something that I've dealt with for a while, but I don't know, it impacts me a little bit more now. And it's nothing that, I'm still able to function and just,
Mhm.
navigate it. And like I said, it's nothing like official, but it's definitely something that affects me day to day. So
Got to name it to tame it and get that right shirt in order.
Name it
Yeah.
to tame it.
name it. Yes, exactly.
Well, Lindsay, I know you've mentioned just a bit that you utilized your knowledge of sensory processing stuff or difficulties to help a parent to understand. And I think what we know is that it would be a dream come true relationship to have a BCBA that not only tried to communicate with our kids, but also communicate with us and the findings and the data and the stuff and be able to bring the message around and maybe make it what you know in terms of your degree and our understanding in terms of language, like to use to explain those things. But you said family, and I know that your relationship to the family is the dream come true one. Can you tell us a little bit about how you know that honoring your client is connecting all the pieces?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that, and thank you, by the way, that was very nice. I always say that, yes, I work with children mostly. I mean, birth to 22, so children and young adults. But for the most part, I work with the families because when you work with kids, you're working with the parents just as much, if not more. Because it's a unit, it's a system. It's so important because whatever I do with the child or whatever the therapist does with the child is not going to translate to the home or to the school or to the community unless we work with the family members as well. And that includes parents, but also siblings, grandparents. I always say, like, bring me anyone who interacts with this child, please.
Oh
And
my God. When we are ready to break ground for our center, you're moving out of Florida. What?
Yes.
You are the dream come true. Did you just say, bring me anybody and I'll help them to learn?
Yeah, I did.
I'm sending my dad.
Maybe not. No, just kidding. It rarely works. They're usually like, no, we'll just stick with us. But I'm like, honestly, like whoever's with the child, if they want some education around autism or whatever the diagnosis is, I'm happy to give that. I'm happy to provide tips and strategies because it's not just the child. It's like you were saying, it's the family. That's the most important part in my opinion.
I love that you said that because, we went through a lot of therapies early on, a lot of therapists early on, and it was her speech language pathologist that said to me, you need to put the work in too, because she is only going to be as successful as you are. And you have to do everything I'm doing at home. You cannot expect her to get this an hour a week. I was like, oh, so I have to work too. you know?
And what we see a lot too is if the parents or families are not involved, unfortunately, usually we get the line like, they'll do anything for you, but they do nothing for us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's why we, or at least I really value that parent training and that time with the families, because that does tend to happen. Our kids aren't the best at generalizing their skills to other people. So they need practice and they need repetition, and family involvement is a huge part of that. But it's true. What your therapist said, Jen, is true. Like you have to be in it too, because that 1 hour of speech a week, or even if it's 20 hours of ABA or whatever it is, it's not a majority.
And I will say that particular, and I've written about it before, but that statement that she made is the most profound statement in this entire journey we've been on. And it literally changed how I viewed her therapy.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that, Lindsay, because that makes,
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it makes all the difference to the families you work with.
Thank you. Yeah, and you're lucky to have had that therapist because not all families have that experience. So
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
also
Well,
think, and I've said a million times, that therapists versus therapy. So I don't actually think it's the therapy. I truly believe it's the therapist and the bond they have with the child.
Yeah.
And I've been open about our therapy, and I'm going to use ABA as an example. We had a horrific entrance into ABA. I swore to my life I was never going to put my kid through that again. I mean, just useless. Therapist, not the therapy. ABA therapy saved my daughter's life in a feeding clinic, ABA based. And it was the first reintroduction I had to ABA. I almost didn't do the feeding clinic because it was ABA based.
And you had to, it was dire.
And now my daughter goes to an ABA learning center. I mean, it changed our lives. So it wasn't the therapy, it was the therapist, So I'm a big believer in that.
I just think of in so many ways, like my past life in spa, for instance, there's different modalities that a therapist has, like a massage therapist would
Oh
have.
yeah. Mhm.
And I feel like there's so many different ways to reach our children, or so many different ways to try anyway. And then there's going to be the ways of which you reach them and the people. Like Celie is so chemistry based. You do not have chemistry with that girl. Hasta la vista, baby.
My son too.
Alyssa too, we're running into a problem with her where she won't do speech therapy virtually anymore because the last therapist she did not mesh with, and she just didn't have that rapport that Alyssa requires. Like she just you
Yeah.
have to just be a certain way with her, and the therapist was just kind of, I hate to say it, but she was just kind of blah. It wasn't that she was doing anything wrong, but she was also very like repetitive in her commands, and she needs a lot of time to process. So if you're saying find this over and over before she gets a chance to like
Find
process it and do it,
Yeah.
then the frustration level mounts, and now she like won't do it. I think it was also with her with the virtual, they kept switching therapists. This pandemic has been hard on everybody. So one person left, they brought another person in, and she can't have that surprise. So she can't have going on the computer every time and not knowing what's on the other side. So
Mhm.
I think that was a part of it too. But yeah, if she doesn't have that relationship, if she doesn't have that, if you have
Chemistry,
to have a very specific bedside manner with her, or like, are you done?
Yeah. And our kids are uber sensitive to energy. And I mean, people don't understand that our kids understand energy so much more than anyone else. I
yeah.
think like my
Deeply.
kids, if they feel a weird energy from you, the therapy's useless. It's not gonna, I mean, there's no point in us coming because it's not gonna be successful at all, period.
Yeah, I
And
agree
if-
with all of that. I talk to parents a lot about like if they've had an experience kind of like Jen's maybe where it just wasn't helpful or
Mhm.
it was not beneficial or it wasn't a happy, positive experience. I always encourage them, and all I can do is try to encourage them to, not call it quits, but maybe try someone else or try a different company or, a new RBT or a new BCBA, because it has to be a personality fit, as you guys are all saying. And it's not the therapy. I agree. It's not the therapy. It's who's implementing it and what works for one child. Maybe Alyssa didn't bond with that person, but maybe that therapist would have been perfect for another child who needs that.
Again, you're moving out of Florida later. You're coming with us.
Leave that beach behind.
Yeah.
We don't even like the beach.
Way to sell it, Tabs.
Yeah.
We got cactus over here in Arizona.
So
Palm trees,
funny.
no sand.
No sand. I don't like
Ocean.
sand. Sand,
Good.
again, sand, sensory.
Yeah.
It gets all over.
Too many
Yeah.
places.
Just gets
Jen's
in
with
places
you.
it has no business. I'm with
Jen-
you.
Jen's
I am
with
not
you,
a
yeah.
sand beachy kind of girl. Bring me a cocktail by the pool. That is me.
On the patio, concrete
Yeah.
patio, please.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
there's no sand
like-
to get in places.
Or like in the air conditioning on my couch would also.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, I know that there are a few things that you've explained to us in our meetings that I'd love to let you tell our listeners about, which is identifying a few other needs among caregivers and moms, seeing and helping. And
Yes, definitely. So as we kind of just talked about for a while, I love supporting the caregivers in, clinically, like as a
Mhm.
BCBA and about behaviors and developmental disabilities and things like that. But I saw a greater need through my work And that was self-care and self-love and self-worth of the caregivers, especially moms, but all caregivers that I worked with. You know, I always say, like, you have to be there for yourself before you can be there for your child. And as we all know, children with special needs require you to be there all the time, a lot. So that's kind of where I saw a need, was the caregivers that I was working with did not do enough to take care of themselves. It was always, what can I do for my child? What can I do for my children if there are multiple? What can I do for my significant other or my family or everyone else? You know, the teachers, the therapists, everyone else except for me. And I never really heard about how they were taking care of themselves or how they were finding support for themselves. You know, they got therapies for their kids, but what about therapies and support for their own mental health? So I kept seeing that over and over, just giving and not taking at all, or not giving to themselves at all. And that's kind of where I saw the need. And that's where the Pampered Parent, which is my subscription box business, that's kind of how it was born.
I just love that so much, because I mean, my son's about to turn 7. So he's been autistic his whole life, but we're 2 years into diagnosis, 3 years into like knowing. But when you jump in this world, like even how you're talking about to do like ABA, for example, it's a way of doing things. So we all have to be invested. So you jump in and you're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm getting speech, I'm getting OT. And then, you know, we get to ABA, or we do this, we're doing this appointment. And I have to like change every which way I thought how I was going to parent, and I have to do this. And you get so engulfed in that. Like you look up one day and all your other friends are like on Instagram posting like pictures of themselves looking cute. And you're like, I haven't even thought about how I look. Like, okay, that's the only element of self-care, but like, I just forgot me. Like, so from our perspective, it's amazing that someone sees that, because most people don't actually see that, because we are like trying to look put together and we're trying to like help our kids, but we're really not doing anything under the surface level things of like showering, putting on a little eyeliner, and then making calls all day and filling out paperwork. Like you're just so engulfed in this world. I mean, I think the whole time you're in it, but especially in the beginning.
And it's so easy for that to be the first thing to drop off the plate. You know, like you have to do, I mean, you know, therapy choices are individual therapy choices for people. If you choose one thing, doesn't necessarily mean you have to do everything that they hand you or that they tell you you should be doing. But you have to make choices about where your kid's going to go to school, who's going to be in your home, what clinic is safe for them, you know, getting to the car. Some days it takes all your energy. And so the easiest thing to drop off the plate is your own personal needs. That's because you don't really have a choice not to care for your children. You know, they need to eat, they need to get places they need to be.
Well, not only that, you're educating yourself in a
Yeah.
world that you were not prepared for, or most of us
Exactly.
in. I didn't go to college for anything. Well, I went for early childhood education, but like still I had to I had to learn so much. I was like, I didn't know any of this. If you would have said BCBA to me 5 years ago, I would have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that's most people. And I feel like too, it's definitely more like when you're initially kind of getting that diagnosis and learning all those things. But I mean, you guys would know better than me, but it seems like a continuous process of learning and growing and figuring things out.
Always. Yeah.
Those acronyms in the beginning, I mean, I didn't even know what SLP was. I mean,
I know
OT, what's OT?
Yeah.
You know?
Our kids are always like, we always talk about like some things get easier and some things get harder as they grow, but it's always there. There's always something you have to learn and grow with them. So as your kids grow, you're learning more stuff and doing more stuff. It's really easy to forget yourself.
Lindsay, one of the things that you touched on a bit is the support to the moms, in particular caregivers, you know, the parent. You were noticing the lack of support, not just of self-care, but real true support to moms, and making sure that as you developed your business that you really hit that hard. And I think that the culture that you're creating, not only in the subscription box that comes, but in your support group, is life-changing. Oh, gonna get a shaky voice about it. This one Zoom call changed my whole world this one time. So I feel it's just so impactful that you're creating this backside support. Can you talk a little bit about that for our
Thank
listeners?
you.
Yes.
Yes, of course. And I appreciate that because I guess just a little summary of what the business is and what the Pampered Parent is it's a subscription box specifically for caregivers of children with special needs. Happens to be mostly moms, but also along with the subscription box, you get 24/7 access to a supportive online community. And that's what Rachel was just mentioning. And I think it's such a crucial part of the support that we offer. So it's a private Facebook group, subscriber only, to create that safe space, I guess you could call it. And we come together. The subscribers can post, can ask questions, can seek support. We offer pretty frequent meditations. And they're short and sweet, so
I jumped on a little bit tonight when the gentleman was doing it.
Yes, he is wonderful. He's actually a family friend, and he has his master's degree in, I don't know the official title, so I'm definitely going to butcher it, but something to do with mindfulness and meditation. It's gotten him through a lot in his life, and he wanted to, give that. And he does it with companies, like big companies and things like that. So I was so happy that he was able to help. But so that's one thing. I do live sometimes. We get guest speakers and daily encouragement, fun posts. Kind of like Rachel was saying, it's really forming into this awesome, supportive community. We do book clubs.
Yeah.
Community.
Zooms with some awesome ladies coming up.
What sit at a table?
That would be us.
That would be you.
Way to give it away, Chad.
I am so excited about that.
You can come join us for a Zoom on Lindsay's supporter group, which you get a lifetime membership to if you subscribe to the box, which is awesome. So you don't lose it if you can't afford or can't continue with the subscription.
Right. Yeah. And I've gotten some really good, it takes time to build that community, and it takes time, you all know best, to build that trust with each other. And it's mostly women who would have never met each other and don't know each other from anything, but now they're getting to meet and provide that support and that encouragement. And we all know it's not all rainbows and butterflies and sunshine, and we talk about that too. I think it's really awesome to see coming together, and kind of my vision is like coming to life, which is exciting. And
it's amazing.
It's a great, I actually had a mom message me today on Instagram, one of my subscribers, and not necessarily about the community, but it was about the box. She just received her January box and she loved it so much. And she actually said, I wasn't sure about subscribing because she's used the word selfish. She said it felt selfish. But she said this is her second box, I believe. And she's like, it's such a treat to get this every month, and to know that monthly I'm going to get this reminder that I matter too. And that was
that's awesome.
I'm gonna cry too.
Cutting onions.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And that really hit home for me because I just want to help as many caregivers as possible. And when I get messages like that, it shows that it's making an impact, because they do deserve it. You do deserve it too. And it's not selfish. It's necessary. But sometimes it takes time to realize.
And you often do feel like you're in the background, in the shadows. You know what I mean? Even for your own self.
I actually feel like the Sherpa. So you use your words, I'll use mine. I feel like the one behind carrying all the
I feel like the person in the dark in the corner of the room.
The ninja just knocking everyone
throwing
out.
things into the room from the corner in the dark.
And I think parenting in general does that, especially momming, just in general, just does that. You just take care of everybody and you just do everything and you bring everybody everywhere. And then special needs just puts a whole nother layer of extra on top of it, because that's, you might do all that with the other kids, but now you're up till 3 a.m. because your special needs child doesn't sleep, and or whatever it is. It just feels like it's a never ending cycle of Groundhog Day sometimes.
I think the cool thing about the box is that it's like specifically for these moms and caretakers of these disabled children or adults, but like it's things that we would use, like there's all these other subscription boxes that you can get. And I've done some of them before, and it's really like, we joke about it. We've all done them. And it's like, well, I'll use like this one thing out of here. This stuff is like catered towards like things that we would want to wear or things we'd want to use, or they're like the little affirmation cards and stuff like things we actually probably need. Like, put this magnet on your fridge to remind you that you're human and you need to say nice things to yourself. Like,
listen, that palette of lip gloss isn't going to get much use in those other boxes because I don't leave my friggin' house. Okay.
I always laugh like when I see like the random like serums that come, and I'm like, where does this go? Like, I don't know what
in the medicine cabinet.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm like, there's no instructions on this tiny bottle of fancy cream. I don't know where this goes.
Instructions
under the eyes, back of my hand.
It goes to Sealy. That's where all those go.
Well, I have a whole box of that stuff in my bathroom.
That's one of, I mean, obviously I have a lot of favorite parts, and I always joke, I always preface like my statements with like my favorite part. And I'm like, okay, they can't all be my favorite part, but
this is my favorite part too. I cannot wait. I can tell by your smile.
Well, so yeah, I love curating the boxes and putting it all together. And like you were saying, finding things that subscribers will actually use and enjoy. And my favorite part, again, one item in every box is from a company that employs or is run by adults, typically with special needs.
This is our favorite part of
all of our favorite part.
Yes, we love that.
To me, that's what it's all about as well, is giving moms and caregivers hope and telling them and showing them what's possible. And it's been so awesome to see all these companies that provide these opportunities for individuals with special needs and highlighting these companies and spreading the word, because, I always say kids with special needs grow up to be adults with special needs, and they deserve anything and everything. And
she's just saying all the right words tonight, Lindsay. Saying all the right words tonight.
She's going for that lead therapist position in Arizona in a while.
Can
I sell my boxes to the moms?
I'll come over and help you.
Cream at the front door.
I'll come and help you package that stuff up. We'll have a party.
Also, we know
things in boxes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know 6 kids on the spectrum that'll be happy to pack some boxes for you.
That's my goal.
Wait till they're adults, so it's
actually
not child labor.
Have to start unpacking them. I mean, it'll just go on in a circle. It's
Did you know that Sealy told me she was so good at Christmasing that I had to rewrap her presents so she could do it again?
Told you.
There it is.
Oh gosh,
I did it too. Yes, I did.
So the goal, talk a little bit about your goal, long-term goal, because this is awesome. When you buy into this company, the Pampered Parent, you also buy into this future mission, which I love as well.
Yes.
It's my favorite part.
I think you've said that a few times. My ultimate goal and my dream is to build up the business enough to be able to employ adults with special needs to join my team and help me with the business and teach them all the parts and kind of hone in on their passions and what they love to do. If they like posting on social media, they can do it. If they like packing boxes, they can do it. If they like art, they can write and design the thank you note, like whatever. That's kind of my vision. And I hope to soon be there to be able to offer that opportunity to.
We just want your warehouse to be called My Favorite Part, or be on My Favorite Part lane.
My favorite part here.
My favorite part.
That's cute.
Yeah, it is cute.
I like that idea.
Yeah, the thing with all of our kids is that we always have dreams for their future, and we always have wants. And I've said this before on the podcast, but I just want my kids to find a place where they can find a passion that makes them feel important, and have a purpose, valued and understood too, which is really hard.
Definitely. I get that. And I see that and I understand why. And I hope to be able to provide, even if it's just me and just a small thing, to provide that experience and that hope and that value, like you were saying.
And I
Yeah.
mean, as someone who has a child in that age range now, like they literally are the forgotten population. They truly are. So to have somebody recognize that, somebody who's not even a mom, I just think that's amazing. It's all these little baby steps that will bring about change for the future.
Amen,
Yeah.
Kimmy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We
Yeah.
need it. We need it in our community.
Lindsay, we want to thank you so much. We know that our listeners have been hearing our ad with you. We've obviously been partnered with you for a while, but really this Hear Me Roar series is about like the different ways that you can advocate, the different ways that you can communicate your needs, the different ways that you can make an impact. And you came to mind right off the bat because for God's sakes, you picked this provider industry, or career path. We just love that. You decided that there was a need. And instead of being like, I've sat at the ITP meetings, like, oh my God, can they see my ranks from over there? Oh, I can't even focus on this many sentences in a row. Like I'm drowning at the other side of that table, Lindsay. Not this table, ladies. Not this table. That table, the ITP table. And, for you to not be seeing what I'm fearing in judgment, but rather in this like open arms, nurture, let me help this lady and all the people like her is providing more. We just appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're providing us as parents more and our children more. So that's and
The whole
what
community.
you do as your job every day, and then what you're doing with your company as well. So
Yeah.
I think too, the ripples. I mean, if you are able to empower by way of these beautiful cards, like make an impact for us, you're fueling the change faster for our children. If you keep me nurtured by delivery of this box, then I can advocate louder. I can stand taller. I can scream further. I mean, all of that, right? Like you're empowering and fueling a really important group.
Thank you. Yeah, that is what I'm trying to do. And as you guys know, every month there's like a one-word theme for the boxes. And I really try to pick those empowering, inspiring words, because exactly what you just said, if it's a cycle. So if I can provide it to you, then you can provide it to someone else. And it's that ripple effect. And that's what I hope to accomplish is, you deserve it.
Big ripple.
Big ripple.
The big ripple.
My favorite part. No, I'm just kidding. But it's true. We're a team and we have to work together, and that's how it works. And we have to link arms, join forces, and share the love. So
Yeah.
we do.
And we are so glad to be partnering with you, meeting up, connecting, sharing the love of this company on this podcast. I could sing a song. That's how much I love it.
Drop a
Like,
beat,
just
man.
write that song.
I
It
think
was
maybe
going.
You need a
I
company
think
rap
maybe you
song.
did.
'Cause
Yeah, I will work on that. To
We
be
gotta-
determined.
Thank you for the opportunity. You guys are amazing, and I am honored to be partnered with you. It's been awesome, but also so much fun. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
We
you,
will-
Lindsay, for
we'll
joining
see you
us.
in the Zoom room.
Be
Yes.
in the Zoom room.
The Zoom room.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for joining us at the table for Providing More, an interview with Lindsay San, the third episode of our 8th series, Hear Me Roar. If you are enjoying the podcast and you happen to listen on Apple Podcast, we would appreciate if you could rate and review us. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to contact us, you can at tablefor5podcast@gmail.com. We have new episodes every Monday. Join us next Monday for more. We'll see you there. Bye.